FYI on Facebook.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody in Facebook land. Welcome, welcome. Melissa, I'm recording.
Yes. It's 2 o'clock on Friday. We all know what happens at 2 o'clock on Friday. I am waiting for my face. There we go. Hey, Facebook, we're going to get started in just a few minutes. We have people popping up there in the Facebook world. We have people popping in here on Zoom world. We got people over here on the Instagram world. And
Happy Friday.
Every Friday, just people popping in all over the place. Thank you for your patience as we let everybody come in. The other computer's going really slow.
All right, guys.
All right.
All right, let's do it. So happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to Beyond the Steps. It's our very last episode of 2020. So when we see you next, it's going to be a brand new year, a fresh start. I know we're all looking forward to what 2021 brings. We were just talking about that. Thank you to everybody joining us on Facebook Live, here on Zoom, and even our friends on Instagram. Pop on over to Facebook Live at Apollo Performance to join the conversation today. I'm Bree. I am the co-founder of Apollo Performance Wear and our CEO, and I'm here with my friend Melissa McDaniel, who is the founder of Turning Point Dance Creations. She's a dance educator, a choreographer, and social justice advocate. Today, we're asking the question, what does plant-based eating look like for dancers and other athletes? And we're giving you plant-based holiday meal and snack ideas that are really, really easy to execute, especially over this next 2 weeks when we all kind of indulge. And so what a great way to end our series for 2020. There's a lot of questions about plant-based eating and things you might be surprised to learn, especially as it pertains to athletes. So I'm really excited for this episode because this is something that has made a difference for me personally as somebody who lives with autoimmune disorders. And our guest expert today is a very, very dear friend of mine, Caroline Lewis Jones, and we're going to let Melissa talk a little bit about her right now and introduce her to you. So take it away, Melissa.
I am so excited for this one because I have lots of questions about plant-based eating. So I'm going to be learning as much as you guys are. So Caroline Lewis Jones from South Carolina, just south of where I am in Charlotte, North Carolina, has been dancing for over 35 years. She's the mom of 2 little boys and is a certified holistic health coach through IIN. She is trained at the Southern Strut. She trained at Southern Strut under her mentor, Nancy Giles, and moved to New York City at 18 years old, where she performed with NSYNC at the VMAs, Britney Spears, Madonna, the Latin Grammys, industrials, and commercials. Beyond her commercial career, she has a true passion that lies within contemporary company work, including Mia Michaels, Dee Caspery, Notorio Dance Company, Rhapsody and Company, ASH Contemporary, Justin Giles, Jason Parsons, and Sonia Taya. She has also choreographed, performed, and directed a one-woman show called Finding My Way about the loss of her mother. She is currently on faculty with Adrenaline Dance Convention, Verve the Intensive, and the director and co-founder of Unbound Dance Company in South Carolina. Caroline also has a deep passion for inspiring healthy living and disease prevention. 15 years ago, she joined a community called Health Made Simple and partnered with the company called Juice Plus. Her mission in life is to encourage and inspire healthy living around the world. Her motto is, if you don't take care of your body, where are you going to live?
Good one.
Caroline, thank you so much for being here with us. We are so excited to have you.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
So you have found a way to merge two of your biggest passions, dance and healthy eating. How are these two things so easily connected, and what is it that started your health journey?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here today, and happy holidays. I I think I'll start with the second part of the question, really what got me here, and then it'll all make sense. So when I was 8 years old, my mom was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer. And literally for 17 years, she lived with disease, and it went to different parts of her body, specifically her bones. And when I was 13 years old, they basically said she has about a year to live. There's nothing else we can do. You know, radiation, chemotherapy, all those, Western methods were not working. And so my dad did not take that as an answer. So instead, we went to a local place called 14 Carat, and we learned about the power of a plant-based diet and a lifestyle called macrobiotics. And after sitting there for 4 hours, my dad said, "We're all in." He literally quit his job the next day. And we had that luxury at that time, which was great. And he cooked for our family for 2 years. And we dove into this lifestyle of eating just all these beautiful colors of the rainbow that I'm going to show you guys today. And all I can say is my mom lived 10 years longer with good
Wow.
life. And she did end up passing away. In fact, tomorrow is her anniversary of 15 years. And but that's really the catalyst that began, all of this for me. And the day she passed, I was with her, and I just kind of made this vow that I wanted to support people and become more educated myself on why this is so important, and what you put on the end of your fork is so important for prevention and longevity and vitality. And so that's really how the whole message began. What was the first part of the question again?
So how do your passions of dance and healthy eating fit together so easily?
Yeah. So at first I didn't really make the correlation. I'm almost 40 in a few months. And as an older dancer, I can absolutely, first of all, say that living this lifestyle, getting good sleep, just trying to eliminate as much stress as I can, eating mainly plant-based foods, having a lot of love and passion in my life is definitely, I feel like, created my longevity. I feel like I'm 20 in my brain. And in my body, I feel like I'm in my late 20s, honestly. I feel really good. And I just saw this need. I've been teaching in the convention world for 17 years. And, I would always talk to dancers and their families, and you would see in them that they were missing something. And for the most part, most of them said that they were fatigued, they were sore all the time, they just didn't have a lot of energy. And I was like, I need to pair these two. I know how I feel as an athlete, as an older athlete, and as a dancer. And I want to educate them on why is this so important, scientifically inside the body, the biology of the body, but also just for, how do you feel? I think a lot of people are exhausted. They're exhausted.
Yeah.
And how can we guide them in a better manner? And in certain things that are simplistic. So it was like this perfect marriage of wanting to share those things with them. So I have these two passions, which I really love. And if you think about it, they're kind of the same thing. It's like I'm teaching, I'm getting to help people, I'm getting to see them thrive, which is my mission in life and what's really important to me.
And I will say, this woman, I mean, I can testify to this. She walks the walk. She talks the talk, but she walks the walk. She is like the prime example of beast mode. If there was in the dictionary beast mode, Caroline's picture would be next to it in her name. She just lives, eats, breathes, sleeps this information, and is just a walking testimony of what it can do for your life. And she's just an all-around amazing human being, good heart, good spirit, good soul, amazing mind. And so we're just so fortunate to have her here to share all of this with us today. And so with that, I want to dive right in. And I want to have you define plant-based eating, because some people, and I was one of them, assume it is the same thing as being vegan or being vegetarian. And you were really quick to correct me on this and explain it's not that. It's very different. So what is the difference? What is plant-based eating, and what is the difference between being vegan or vegetarian?
So the biggest difference is that, so I am vegan, but I will say this, I'm gonna go with this one first. If my body says I need something or I want something, I'm not going to deprive it of it. If
Yeah.
it says, hey, I want a piece of wild salmon, hey, I want an egg, like I do that.
Yeah.
So I'm not a strict vegan, but all plant-based means is that you are thinking of your plate of food, right? Or let's use this bowl, for example. And instead of the animal protein being the highlight, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all the different colors of the rainbow, the fruits, the vegetables, the nuts, the seeds, the whole grains. That's the highlight of the plate or the bowl. And because I think most people think that, in order to have a meal, you have to have the highlight has to be the meat, right? Or the meat.
Right.
And
That's
so
how I operated for sure. There's the entree and then there's the little bit of,
Right.
side.
The side items, the entree and the sides. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's all plant-based means. It just means that we are incorporating more plants into our daily regimen, to our breakfast, to our lunch, to our dinner. But, if you want something, then you eat it. Because honestly, if you don't eat it, most likely you're just going to overeat on something else. So there's a word called bio individuality. And it's that whole concept that what Bree's body needs, it might be different than what I need. But the common thread is that no one eats enough fruits and vegetables and plant-based foods.
Right.
So that's simply the difference. I never tell people, be vegan. That's not my answer for people. It's that, hey, if you want to focus on prevention, if you want to focus on longevity and vitality, let's think about how many different colors we can start to incorporate, into your daily regimen. So that's essentially.
So plant-based is the process of eating more plants, just food that comes from plants as directly as possible, and more of that than not. And then being vegan and vegetarian is you just don't eat meat at all. There's no animal protein at all, correct?
Yeah, vegetarian. Now, people that are vegetarian still possibly would eat oils and honey. A strict vegan doesn't do oils. They don't do honey. They don't do anything with the face. But vegetarians still probably dabble in eggs. They'll use oils to cook. They'll eat honey. So a strict vegan, it's a very, very strict lifestyle.
Yeah.
There's a very famous doctor, Colin T. Campbell, and he actually coined the term plant-based. I think it was like in early 1980s. And it was basically to help people realize you don't have to be vegan. Because I think that's called the dreaded V word. I think it scares people sometimes because they're like,
Right.
But if you think about just incorporating all these colors throughout the day, you're really going to give your body those puzzle pieces that it's probably missing, and all those nutrients and enzymes.
Yeah, because when I started doing the whole plant-based thing, I was so overwhelmed by where to start, and you were so great about helping with that. But I distinctly remember you're like, if you want a cheeseburger, eat a cheeseburger, because everyone knows my love for cheeseburgers. I say it every time we have a topic on nutrition, I'm like, can I have a cheeseburger? So everyone knows that I love that. But you were like, you can have that, but you just can't have it at every, maybe don't have meat at every meal, because there's times that I would get jiggy with the bacon at breakfast, and then lunch I would have a sandwich, and then dinner I'm and I really had to shift my mentality. And when she basically said, you can do that, you can have those things, just maybe let's not eat meat 3 times a day 7 days a week. And and now I understand why. But I think that's a really important misconception to clear up for people, that plant-based eating doesn't mean you can't have any meat ever again in your life. That was a big one for me and my husband and my family. So I just wanted to make sure to clear that up. So Game Changers is a documentary released on Netflix last year, which I love. I thought it was just so well done. And it specifically addresses the impact of plant-based eating on the performance of athletes across the board. And it addresses weightlifters to marathon runners to football players and everything in between. So talk about this documentary a little bit as it applies to dancers, and are dancers able to fuel their bodies properly through a plant-based diet? Because I think some people think it's just not enough. There's no way that they can get the nutrients they need and the ability, the energy they need to be able to sustain that kind of a schedule. So talk about that a bit.
Definitely. Well, first of all, dancers are athletes, right?
Yeah.
We're artistic athletes.
That's right.
The way that we train our bodies is just as intense as, soccer players, tennis players, football players. So the first thing that really caught my eye when I watched Game Changers was me really wanting to understand protein. And just in the United States in general, we are a very protein obsessed society. Is protein essential? Absolutely. It's a huge building block of our muscles and of our body, right? It's one of our macronutrients. But we tend to overdo the protein aspect of it. We don't need 180 grams of protein a day. Honestly, as an athlete, I'm in the range of like 60 to 80 a day. The older you get, meaning 60 plus, you probably will need a little bit more protein just to help with muscle mass, right? But in terms of plants, you absolutely can get all the vitamins and nutrients and enzymes that you need through all these colors. Now, diversity is important. If you're just eating a sweet potato and an apple and broccoli, and that's all you eat every single day, then you're going to be missing a lot of puzzle pieces, right? So it's important to get as many different colors as you can throughout the day. But the real key that I think that the documentary, really honed in on was the idea of we are too protein obsessed, and what are we not getting enough of? And this kind of goes into this book. It's called Fiber Fueled. And this is an excellent book. My friend, actually, Dr. B, wrote it. We did a talk with him about 7 years ago. And it's the whole idea that no one gets enough fiber. And fiber is the key to a strong, healthy gut. And a strong, healthy gut is going to be the key to all the systems of your body working properly.
This is what you say is the microbiome, right? Because I'm trying to pay attention to your terminology. You talk about microbiome a lot.
Yep, the microbiome, microbiota. You are bacteria. We're made of 3 trillion different bacteriums. We're more bacteria than we are human, actually.
Yeah.
And if the bacteria in the gut and in the small, large intestine, it's called your peritoneal cavity, if that is off, then most likely you're going to see things, hormonal issues. You're going to see, poor skin. You're going to see cardiovascular issues. So if we can get the gut healthier by eating more plant-based foods and fiber, which also fiber comes along with short chain fatty acids, then you're going to have more optimal health. Yeah. So I love the documentary because it just really says, hey man, if you're an athlete and you're feeling tired all the time, like you can't recover, maybe you're an older athlete, or you're hitting your early 20s. And I always hear this from dancers. They're like, oh, I'm getting old. And I'm like, you're just getting started, people.
Yeah.
But I think it's the whole idea that if you want longevity and if you want protection, which we can talk about in a second, protection on your cellular level, the things you don't see going on inside, then hands down, you need to think about fueling your body with more plants. And I mean, I naturally am a muscular woman. I kind of say that I came out the womb with guns. But when I moved to New York City, I probably had 10 extra pounds on my body. Was I overweight? Absolutely not. I don't even want to talk about weight. I've never counted calories. I've never done anything. I love food. I love to eat. Eating is so important. But it was interesting when I started eating more plant-based. I feel like it was the first time in my life that my body came into its own. Yeah. It was the first time that that extra, when you're little and you go through puberty, the extra body fat that you might have. I finally found I found myself and oh, this is what I'm supposed to feel like. My joints hurt. I'm a small woman, and so I had too much weight on my frame. I mean, I had my knee surgeon say that to me. It was like, for your frame, it's a little bit too much, and so it was eye-opening to me that when I was eating tons of food, but I was eating all these awesome colors, and it just naturally started to happen for me. And so sorry, I'm off the subject right now, but that's okay. Absolutely, you can get all the things that you need, but there's a method to it as well. I see a lot of people that turned plant-based, and I'll have dancers that are like, well, I'm eating oatmeal for lunch, quinoa for dinner, oats for breakfast, quinoa for lunch, and brown rice for dinner. And I'm like,
no color.
Where's the colors?
Yeah.
And so there is, definitely making sure that you're getting your macronutrients, which are healthy fats, healthy protein, healthy complex carbohydrates, right? All those things are so essential for the building blocks of your body, not only to fuel yourself properly and have energy, right? Because after you train, you need complex carbohydrates. That's what repairs you and gets you ready for the next day.
Right.
So, I think that it's a wonderful documentary to watch. Just for my younger artistic athletes that are watching and parents, there's some language in the film, so maybe watch it first before, but it is really eye-opening. And I think that every person I've ever had watch it, I think it's really opened their eyes to, wow, like I want to be a stronger athlete. I want longevity so that when I'm in my later 30s, right, I feel like I'm still performing at these optimal levels that I want to have and protecting myself on a cellular level.
Right.
I love that.
So Caroline, is there and I know, when kids are growing up, they say kids need this and they need this much this to grow strong and develop their eyes and develop their muscles. And is there an appropriate age to start a plant-based diet for a child?
Well, I'll tell you, now my children do eat meat. They love grass-fed hamburger, so we do that like twice a week, and they like eggs, so for us it's moderation. So I am the vegan in the house. But for children, but honestly, my kids, I say, are plant-based because their meals don't consist of going through Chick-fil-A every single day and having chicken nuggets. Like when I'm making their plate of food, the highlight is the brown rice and the broccoli and the Brussels sprouts and a big thing of fruit. And then if we have like a little hamburger patty or something like that, that's their side item, right? So I've done that since birth with them, truthfully. I have several friends that their children are completely plant-based. And it's interesting, two of them that I'm very close to, their children, both of them are around 2 and 3 years of age, and they've never had a sick visit. Not one.
Wow.
No one. So and this is a different topic, but we are a totally dairy-free family. We are totally dairy-free. We've been that way since the boys were born. So that's just what, I've chosen to do, just to reduce.
But can you talk about why? Because I think that my understanding, and we've cut back, Melissa and I were talking about that before we started, I've cut back on dairy in our house, but it's because of the inflammation, right?
Yeah.
So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So I would say dairy if I can take one thing out of anyone's diet, or excuse me, I don't like the word diet, lifestyle, to try and see how they feel, specifically if you have someone that's like sinuses, allergies, asthmatic, anything respiratory. Dairy is a very inflammatory food. And when you remove it, magic happens. You have mucus in your body. You need mucus because mucus helps things move. We have mucus everywhere. But what happens though is with dairy, it creates more mucosa. So therefore, if you have someone like a kid that's constantly snotty or they're really stuffed up, you can see some great things happen when you do remove it. Now, the conversation of calcium always comes up. Well, where is my kid going to get their calcium? Well, your kid's going to get their calcium from all these dark green leafy vegetables, from broccoli, from cauliflower. The cruciferous vegetables have 3 times more calcium than the dairy does. Yeah. So dairy does have calcium. However, too much animal protein, which again is whey protein, which is dairy, creates uric acid in the body. Too much uric acid pulls calcium from your bone to try and neutralize itself. So it's opposite of what we told with the milk mustache when we're older, right? I mean, when we're younger, drink milk to make your bones strong. I actually feel very inclined to say the opposite. Actually, too much dairy is going to create osteoporosis and osteopenia at an older age. So, again, if you're having a salad and you go to a restaurant and it has feta cheese on it and you're like, man, I just want a little bit of cheese today, that's fine. It's totally fine. But I think the issue though is like, here's an example, the way I grew up. My parents loved to cook. I'm Southern, like the best mac and cheese, fried chicken.
Right.
We always had fresh vegetables, nothing ever canned, but like legit, my mom, God rest her soul, would have like broccoli, asparagus, all these beautiful vegetables, and she would just smother it with cheddar cheese.
Yeah.
I never really actually knew what the vegetables tasted like. I mean, literally, I was like, well, I love cheese. The if I think back, I was plagued with sinus infections as a kid, you guys. I mean, plagued. I mean, I was like the snotty girl. And it's literally when I decided to like take the like leap of faith and just go for it. And started eating more plant-based and incorporating, all these colors. That's when magic started to happen for me. And I was like, oh, I don't have to live this way. I don't have to live with
Right.
snotty nose. Like that's kind of awesome. And I'm not saying that that's going to happen for everybody, like I've had some clients that I've worked with health coaching, that they removed dairy and not much happened. One of those people I found out that actually had major mold exposure, and they had major levels of mycotoxins in their blood. So the reason why they had all these sinus issues is because they had black mold in their house. Interesting, right?
Right. Which has nothing to do with peace.
There's always these things. But if you're curious about that and like, you're like, man, I think I could maybe try this, reach out to me. There's some great brands. I hate most plant-based cheeses. Honestly, I think they're nasty.
I've heard they're really not that
They're
great.
they're kind of nasty, Caroline. I have to say, I haven't tried your favorite yet, and I know you have one. So
I do. My favorite is called VioLife or VioLife. It's VIOLIFE. Get the one, it's a block and it says feta. It says feta, but it tastes just like goat cheese. And y'all, it's legit. It is amazing. Like Cruz's favorite sandwich is the VioLife, that the feta with smoked salmon. And that's like, he loves that sandwich in his lunchbox, like loves it, like that's his jam. But it's really good on like pasta dishes, on a salad. It's excellent. So that's a good one. Nutritional yeast, if you've never tried it. It looks like a sprinkly cheat, like it looks like fish food. Let's get real.
It totally is like fish food.
It is. It tastes though like it has like a cheddar cheese kind of taste. So you could like sprinkle it on eggs. You could sprinkle it, in a wrap. Like it's actually really tasty and yummy. So if you have like a bulk section at your grocery store.
Melissa's face right now.
Right, I'm like, hey, what?
Mind
like fish flakes? What?
You know what fish food looks like? It tastes, well, I've never had fish food, but but it looks like that, and it actually tastes really, really great.
What is it? What is it again?
It's called nutritional yeast.
Nutritional yeast. Where do you, we're going to get off subject. Okay, I'm going to go back to that. I'm like, where do you get these things? Okay, we're going to go back to that. One more follow-up question. If you're going to eliminate dairy to test something like that, how long do you eliminate it before you're like, oh, wait, that didn't work, or before you will see results?
I usually tell my clients like 2 weeks. I think 2 to 3 weeks is a safe bet that you could see some drastic changes, truthfully.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll have a lot of people experiment with going gluten-free and dairy-free just to see, specifically like sometimes like my autoimmune, clients that I'm working with, or young children that were trying to figure out like where these allergies are coming from. Mm-hmm. But I would never do both at the same time. I would do dairy for 2 weeks and then see what happens. And if that helps, that's great. And then maybe from there, then put in, take out the gluten and see what happens. Mm-hmm. I'm not anti-gluten, by the way. I'm actually only gluten-free for people that actually need it. Right. So, but anyway, but I would say 2 to 3 weeks. Yeah.
So this is my bias, and it's just because I do way too much in my life and I overschedule myself a whole lot, but I have always believed that plant-based eating can be extremely laborious. Like you have to meal prep, and you can't just be out and go, oh, I'm going to stop at this restaurant, and it seems like fast food is totally out. Like, unless you're going to get fries, right. Which are often cooked in oil, which then might, not be what you want. You can't really do it. So what is that true? Or is there convenience, I guess, plant-based food that you can count on?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I do a little bit of food prep. I don't do meal prep because I like to I don't really know what I want that day. So for me, the first thing I want to say to you guys is like, what I do is I will make, like, I'll get 2 cookie sheets and I will roast just tons of vegetables, barely roasted. So they're still like kind of crunchy. I'll put those aside, let those cool. I will make about 5 to 6 cups of some sort of grain. Like in my rice cooker, it could be quinoa, it could be brown rice, it could be millet. And I try to like vary it. So one week it's this, one week it's that. And I want my children to understand differences too, so they're not eating the exact same thing.
Mhm.
And you can do canned beans, like organic, no sodium canned beans, but I actually like, it's so cheap just to get a bag of like organic dried chickpeas. And I will, there's a little bit of feedback. There we go. And I will soak them, and then the next day just cook them. And then I have this massive amount of beans to work with. And then throughout the week, I will just go in the fridge and like pull from those things. Let's say that we're having salmon one night, right? I could pull out the quinoa and I could pull out the chickpeas that are already cooked in the fridge, maybe throw in some of my plant feta cheese in there, and then have like a really great side salad that I'll chop up really fast. I do travel a lot, so I will take, like some salad in the jars that I make in these jars. I know that we're going to give you that resource in a little bit. But a lot of times I like to eat out. I'll go to a restaurant and let's say I'm at Chipotle. What am I going to eat? Okay. I know you have brown rice. I know you have tofu. I know that you have pico de gallo. I know that you have corn. I know that you have black beans. I know that you have cilantro. You have some peppers, and I'll create a plant-based bowl that way. Right. And I think as consumer, we have to realize, like, if you go into a restaurant, I was eating in Orlando this past weekend, and I got to we're all the faculty were eating together, and I was like, there's really nothing I want here. So I said, they had some sides though. So I said to the guy, I was like, can y'all just make me a really massive vegetable plate? And he kind of looked at me funny, and he was like, I don't know. And I was like, can you go ask the chef? And he was like, sure. So he came back and he was like, yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, it was like, I had sauteed mushrooms. I had broccolini. I had, he gave me like a side salad, and then something, I can't remember what the other thing was, but it was just this beautiful plate of all these colors, So I think if you ask for it, you can definitely do it. If you hate to cook, then look for like the purple carrot. There's some really great, delivery services that actually will deliver you, and you can check off. You can say, I am vegan, I'm vegetarian, or I am pescatarian, or whatever it is. And they will literally, bring all the ingredients in this basket. I mean, I think it's like $40 a week, which could be really expensive for some people, but for other people that are needing that help and that guidance, that could be a great way to, to begin as well. So I don't think you have to do all this crazy, because to me, think about like a bodybuilder. Bodybuilders still eat tons of what? Meat. And they meal prep. So I don't think it's necessarily being plant-based that is the reason why we can't meal prep. I just think that there's a couple things. I think that people are nervous to chop. I think that really, makes people nervous. So actually learning how to hold a knife correctly, and a really good quality knife, and learning how to chop vegetables. But just having resources when you open up the fridge, maybe on a Sunday, you take an hour, maybe you roast a bunch of sweet potatoes, right? Just some side items, not side items, but just different foods that you can pull out and be like, all right, I'm going to make a Buddha bowl right now, which is a bowl like this. And then maybe you have like leftover brown rice. I'm going to chop up the sweet potato and put it next to it. Great. I'm going to, I've got a bunch of roasted vegetables. Great. And then, I have my beans, my chickpeas. Great. And then I'm going to put a really yummy dressing on top and throw a huge slap of like hummus in the middle. And then maybe I'm going to sprinkle it with some pumpkin seeds. I don't know what the heck I just said, but it's like that idea of I've got all these foods, and most likely they taste really, good together. So I think we overthink food a lot. I think it really boils down to most people just hate the kitchen. I've discovered that with a lot of people. They're just like, this is a waste of my time. I don't like it. But you know what I do when I cook? I like to turn on a podcast. I'm not a TV watcher. I think a lot of people say they don't have time. And sounds awful when I say this, and don't get upset with me, but I think people watch a lot of mindless TV that does nothing to serve them. Instead, they could listen to like a really awesome podcast, or perhaps actually have a conversation with their loved ones while they're in the kitchen making some food.
Right.
Yeah.
So for me, the kitchen is a moment of actually learning. I'm doing something else. I'm listening, or I'm talking. So I try to make the kitchen a place of openness where I actually have people talking to me, or I'm learning about something new, that might interest me.
And a lot of times people will close off the kitchen, like, I'm going to cook, and everybody else in the house goes and does something else. Casey just came on the chat in Facebook Live and said, I hate the kitchen. I really do.
Yeah.
Which I have to agree with you, Casey. I also hate the kitchen, but
Yeah.
we
But if
gotta make it
Remember
fun.
that.
Oh,
But it's
one,
important to know, though. It's important to know because a lot of the things you're saying when you meal prep, you're all of this stuff that you're not meal prep, but when you have these ingredients that are already made, the rice, the beans, the vegetables, the one thing I'm noticing for my family is that's covering us for like 2 to 3 meals that week, of like one night we have the bowls, one night we have nachos, and maybe my husband like chicken on his side of the nachos, but on my side, I use that, field roast sausage on my side. And so it really does make several meals for the week that you just pull from and put together really quickly.
yeah, Google, me and Bree, we did this, plant-based 10-day, we called it plant proof program in September. And it was 10 days of us just all working together. And we did, like cookie sheets. They're called, like sheets on a meal on a sheet pan, like sheet pan meals. They're great. Just Google it. Just Google sheet pan meals.
It's one pan dinner.
Yeah,
Right.
awesome. And I think that a lot of moms I've worked with have really liked that because it's one pan, it's putting maybe some salmon, it's putting some asparagus, it's putting some sweet potatoes. It's easy on one pan wonder, put it in. And that seems to be a nice, simple way to start. And I will say this, the last thing before the next question is, I think it's important if you think about this journey or you're wanting to start it, do not go all in at first. Do not do that.
Start slow.
Yeah, I mean, I know we always say that, but like, just, what I do with clients is I just start with breakfast. Literally for a month, we'll just focus on different breakfasts. Like what are some different breakfasts we can do? Steel cut, oatmeal, steel cut oats, cold quinoa leftover for breakfast is actually amazing with a bunch of different, like maybe walnuts or pecans or almonds with some fresh berries and some cinnamon. Maybe it's a yogurt parfait. Maybe it's a smoothie. Maybe it's chia seed pudding. There's all these different things that overnight oats, right? That you can meal prep and that could help guide you. And then it becomes more like a matter of like brushing your teeth. It's not so, oh, what am I going to make? It's more like, oh, okay, I'm just going to focus on breakfast today and just do that for a month and see how you feel and see if that becomes easier for you. And then we can help you move on to lunch or dinner or whatever, snacks or whatever it is that you're looking, to move on to next.
Right.
But don't go all in at first. Because I think it can be
bored.
Yeah.
That can definitely be overwhelming. So I know you might have addressed this a little bit earlier, but I think this is another common misconception is that when you have a plant-based diet, you commonly need nutritional supplements like a vitamin or something to be at optimal health. Is that, I think a multivitamin is suggested for a lot of people, not just people who are plant-based, but do you think that that's true, or are there other supplements that are needed when you're plant-based? Like, I guess iron is a big one. People are like, oh, I have to take an iron supplement if I'm plant-based because I don't have my red meat. I don't eat red meat, so I can definitely say that's not true. But is that a thing? Do you need supplements if you're plant-based?
I don't think so. I will say the one thing that I've had a couple people when they've moved into this, specifically veganism, that they'll sometimes get like a brain fog. And that's a number one sign of vitamin B12 deficiency. So I know a lot of vegans that will supplement with like vitamin B12. And all vitamin B12 is actually found in the bacteria of soil. But because our soil is not as nutrient dense as it used to be, really one of the only places you can find it is in animal protein. So there are some great, there's a brand called Standard Process, which is really awesome. So I just kind of monitor myself and how I feel. And if I feel like something's a little bit off, I have supplemented with B12s before. But other than that, again, if you have diversity, and I mean a lot of diversity, like I wish y'all could see like no, you can't really with the light, but if you have lots of color in your life, because what this purple sweet potato is going to give you is totally different than like what's in this apple. One apple has 10,000 antioxidants in it, 10,000. Wow. That would take 25 pages to list. So, and then I don't know about the sweet potato. Heck, it could have 25,000, who knows? But again, they work together synergistically inside of your body. Now, I'm actually not a fan of multivitamins. And there's over like 150 now actually institutions around the world that say, hey, don't take multivitamins. They're just really expensive pee. And make sure you're getting it from the foods that you eat.
Right.
And that's all hunky dory. But again, if you're already having a hard time being in the kitchen and you're eating out a lot, it might be hard to get, everything you need. So 16 years ago, I started using Juice Plus, and that is actually just dehydrated raw fruits and vegetables. It actually has a food label by the FDA, so it's not synthetic, because what are multivitamins? They're synthetic, right? They're not actually from food. There are some, now take that back, there are some vitamins that you can find that are more food-based, food source. The actual source is food. But I love JP, because of the clinical research. It's NSF approved for quality control, which is very, very important, because supplements are not regulated in our country.
Right.
We're like one of the only countries in the world where we have zero regulation, which is, it doesn't surprise me, but it also is baffling to me. So when you're looking for something, like, look for that NSF certification. That's really important. So I have used Juice Plus for 16 years to help me bridge the gap for what I've wanted to get every single day, or what I want to get every single day, but perhaps I don't, because I'm a busy mom. I've got 2 young kids, or, I'm traveling, whatever it may be, but this is my maintenance every day of my life. So I take all 4 blends, including the plant-based omegas. I also love it because it's safe for children. And there are not many things out there that are safe for children, which is another thing that baffles me, because why can I take something, but it's not safe for my child? That makes zero sense to me. So that's why I love Juice Plus, because all 5 of our products, they have a food source, they're labeled as food, they're clinically researched, they're all NSF approved, and they're all safe for even pregnant women. We're clinically proven.
And they're used, right, at the MD Anderson Cancer Center. They're used to treat the cancer patients there, right?
Yep, they use it on specifically, it should be used for everybody, but the research that was done at MD Anderson was done with their ovarian cancer patients, stage 3 and stage 4. They did all 3 colors of Juice Plus, because the omegas were not out then. And then they all had a plant-based smoothie every single day, with our Juice Plus Complete, which is cool. So kids eat Juice Plus for free. So we'll give you that link if that's something that interests you, just to learn more. And then we have this great community. Like, we have a Plant Powered by Plant, Health Made Simple. That's our community, Health Made Simple Facebook group, where we do like plant-based recipes and just support and, help you with accountability.
And it's phenomenal, because there's so many recipe ideas on there that come out of there, like cookies and, lunch ideas, dinner ideas for families. It's an incredible community. It's very helpful, very helpful. Yeah, go ahead.
Let me mention the iron really fast, since you asked it, Melissa. So iron, you have hemi iron and you have non-hemi iron, right? So hemi iron is going to come from red meat or animal products. Non-hemi iron is going to come from plants. So plants actually have tons of iron in them. One thing about iron is that you have to have high levels of vitamin C in order for iron to be absorbed into the body. So bell peppers are actually the #1, strawberries, actually more so than citrus, believe it or not. So just thinking about incorporating those foods when you're eating them with them. If you do have someone that is highly iron deficient, it's probably that they have some sort of absorption issue in their body, truthfully. There's one brand called Floradix, Floradix, DIX, that if you're looking for a plant-based form of supplementation, that is a good one to use. Blackstrap molasses. It has to be blackstrap molasses, not just,
real molasses, right?
Yeah, it has to be blackstrap, but it's super high in iron. Like 2 tablespoons, you could put into a smoothie. But typically with iron, I find that it's because there's something else in the body not quite happening, and it goes back to the gut. One of the number 1 places you absorb iron is in your duodenum. I think it's in the duodenum or in the ileum. I can't remember. But anyway, that's a part of that whole system down there. That's where that's absorbed. So again, if gut health is off, well, that's going to be off.
Right.
So,
Interesting.
It's getting back to that whole healing of the gut. And then that way other things can hopefully start to, place and work.
Well, and I know, going back to the Juice Plus, and we had a couple comments in the chat on Facebook too. Juice Plus gummies are awesome. My kids love them, 4 and 7 years old. They look forward to them every morning. They look forward to getting them out. And I know at least they're getting that in their day on top of the fruits and vegetables and the plants that we incorporate at their meal. So they are awesome. And I take the capsules. So if you guys want to know about that, we're going to tackle that at the end, and we'll make sure we put a link where you guys can message Caroline for more info on that. And it's all your minerals and vitamins that you need for one day, right, Caroline? Every time you take those.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, I don't like to say it's never a substitute. This is just my concern.
Yeah,
so I eat the way that I do, and then I use Juice Plus as getting a diversity. It's called micronutrition. Macronutrition is what? Eating this, right? Micronutrition is all the enzymes and vitamins and phytonutrients that are found inside of this. So that's what I look as like what Juice Plus is. It's the micronutrition for my body and my kids enhance every single day. So think about it again, just more of as diversity, and the more diversity you have, we know for a fact, I mean, that's what all research shows, the most diverse lifestyle of diet is going to contribute to a stronger, healthy microbiome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You so much for all of that. It's such great information. And you guys, again, we're going to give you more resources at the end that you can look through and take time to really look through and learn. But right now we're going to get into some really fun stuff. And Caroline is going to show us some of her favorite snack and meal ideas for dancers, athletes, and their families that are easy and satisfying. So Caroline, just show us what you got for us. I know you're doing 3 things today. Easy,
yep.
quick.
Yeah, 3 things. You can see me pretty. I'm actually going to pull that back a little bit. I'm going to push this back.
I can see it. Yeah, looks good.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, and when we do the resources, you guys, I'm going to send Bree also, I mean, we have like at least 6 different digital plant-based cookbooks, and they're all simple and easy. Another really great website is just your basic forks over knives. It's like really who I think brought also this whole plant-based revolution into the world, but go to forksoverknives.com and you'll see so many fantastic, easy recipes there. So all this is, we're going to call this sweet potato toast. We often hear of, yeah.
I feel like I'm still performing at these optimal levels.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. I heard feedback, so I just want to make sure. So you often hear about avocado toast, but what I like to do is sweet potato toast. Now you can use regular sweet potatoes. This is just a purple sweet potato. Mm-hmm. So what I do is I take them and just cut them into thick chunks. I put a little bit of coconut oil on top, just a smidge. And then I roasted these at 400 for about 25 minutes. Mm-hmm. And I flipped them in between. So they just become these nice, like think of it as bread, but it's a sweet potato. So we're going to make 3 different kinds. Earlier, I'm prepping for a little holiday family get together tomorrow. And I made some collard roll sushi that I'm going to show you in a second, just to show you because it's fun. But this is just sauteed peppers, onions, mushrooms, and carrots. Mm-hmm. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one of the avocado toast. I'm just going to take an organic hummus that I got from Costco, and I'm going to layer it with hummus. And again, you could do any kind of topping that you want, right? If it's like a Asian inspired or Mediterranean. And then from there, I'm going to top it with the vegetables. So that's the first one. Real pretty. You could eat it like a boat if you wanted to, or you could eat it like that. The next one I'm going to make is more of a, actually let's do the avocado next. So this is just half of a mashed up avocado. And you could actually just, get store-bought guacamole if you wanted to, but I'm going to layer my avocado on top. I'm so hungry. I'm going to
Can you go on avocado overload? Is too much avocado bad? I had to cut myself back to half an avocado a day because I just felt like I was getting way too jiggy with the avocados.
Yeah, I wouldn't eat a whole avocado. But half an avocado a day is great. And you can even put them frozen in your smoothie. They're very caloric. I don't worry about calories, and I definitely encourage my dancers not to focus on calories at all.
But for somebody like me who's not active as you are, right?
Yeah, I would just stick with half an avocado a day. I think that would be smart. Yes. But remember, avocado has the good healthy fats in it as well. Now this is the key to life, people. This is the everything but the bacon.
I've heard that everybody shake it on anything.
Yes, guys. And yeah, so it's so simple, but I'm telling you, it is life. So then you have this beautiful, yeah. Okay, so that's 2 savory ones. And the next one I'm going to do is a sweeter one. So we are an actual nut-free family. We do almonds and seeds in the house. But this is a sun butter, which is really great, by the way, if you've never tried sun butter.
I just bought that because you always talk about it, and I bought it, and it tastes just the same. It's maybe a little sweeter. Like it's got a different type of sweetness than like Jif. It's like but it's so good.
Well, it's just because Jif has like
right
the nasty sugars.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, then we're gonna sprinkle some cinnamon. Ooh. Then so easy. You could do bananas on top. You could do pears, but my favorite is apples. So then you say lovely. You could like make a ton of. Honestly, you could make these at the beginning of the week. I mean, I wouldn't, make it on Sunday and eat it Friday, but I mean, you could make a bunch of these, and then you could, eat them for the next couple of days, just as fun snacks. Kids would love this too. It's so
in the fridge.
Yes.
In the fridge.
So as you see, we have 3 just beautiful, healthy, colorful, complex carbohydrates, healthy fat. Not as much protein in these. Like if you wanted to get some more protein, you could sprinkle hemp hearts, which I'll show you in a second. You could do some beans on it if you wanted to. Plants do have protein. I want to make sure that we say this.
Right.
Here's the deal. You just have to eat more of them. But I mean, I know tons of plant-based major Olympians that are like muscle filled and they eat plant-based, but they just have to eat more of it, So, and just listen to your body. If your body says you need something, then that's what you do. You eat it. Okay, so that's the first one.
And we're gonna pop these recipes in the chat, you guys, so you will have access to these as well.
Okay, the next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pull, let me move this like that. I'm gonna pull my blender over here. So I use a vitamin.
Is everything but the bagel seasoning, is that Trader Joe's only? That's where you get that?
That's the only place I found it. I mean, you could definitely, the ingredients are so easy: sesame seeds, sea salt, minced garlic, dried minced onion, black sesame seeds, and poppy seeds. That's it. So, I mean, you could make it yourself, but yeah. And I would just get like 3 of them at a time because you're gonna really love it. So what we're gonna make now is our plant-based smoothie. And let me just pull up my recipe for a second. You can make this so many different ways, you guys, but this is how I'm going to make it today. And I'm actually going to make this because my boys are going to be here soon. So I'm going to make them an after school smoothie. So about 1.5 cups of almond milk. You could use oat milk. You could use coconut milk, any sort of plant-based milk. Here we go. So this is the Juice Plus chocolate. This is what I've used as my smoothie mix for the past 15 years. It comes in chocolate, it comes in vanilla. And let me get my scooper. The boys really love chocolate, so I'm gonna make a chocolate one. And they usually share one because they're only 4 and 6, so they can't consume quite a big smoothie yet. So I'm just gonna let them share that. But this has 8 grams of fiber in it. And then it has 15 plants in it that are not even in the Juice Plus capsules and gummies, which is great. I'm also next going to use our chia seeds, and chia seeds actually have a lot of protein in them, believe it or not. And then I'm going to do about a tablespoon. I don't really measure anymore because I just know now.
All the time. I'm like, wow, okay, that's a tablespoon. Okay.
That's not a tablespoon. But you can't overload. I mean, the chia seeds just help make it thicker. So if your kids like something with more of a milkshake texture, I would incorporate the chia seeds. I mean, even just for that reason, they're wonderful, in terms of what they have in them, antioxidant wise, but they're great for that. So the reason why these are not frozen is because I've been sitting here for an hour talking, but I actually normally use frozen greens. So literally I'll buy a big bag from like Costco of the organic spinach or super greens, put the whole bag in my freezer and pull out handfuls of just frozen raw spinach. And that's it. Yep. This is frozen mango, and these are just frozen blueberries, strawberries. My favorite is actually frozen pineapple. I just don't have any right now. So I'm going to dump all that into there. And that is it. So that's the smoothie. That's so easy. And if your kids, if you have dancers that don't like greens, they don't like salad, this is an excellent way to not hide, but to show them that, hey, let's mix it into a smoothie to start our day out, or, before dance, but after dance, to help you get wonderful, wonderful colors, into your regimen.
So,
every day.
Siobhan, I noticed you didn't add a sweetener of any type there. Is it the fruit that's just going to provide the natural sweet?
Yeah, the fruit, and then the Juice Plus Complete has just tons of wonderful plants in it that are natural sweeteners that are going to help it as well.
Okay.
So, something I like to put in sometimes in smoothies, you could do dates. If you needed a little bit more sweetness, you could do like a tad bit of like maple syrup or like some organic honey if you needed. But I think you'll find that this is sweet enough. Oh, I forgot half of my banana.
I was going to ask you about the banana.
Yep.
I know you usually did that.
Yep. And again, it can be frozen. I just don't have any right now. So that is that. Okay, I'm going to blend it for a second. Hold on.
Melissa, I want to know which one of these you're going to try first.
I mean, I'm trying to decide between the little sweet potato boat thing. I don't want to give away the next one. I want to try the next one, but
So there is our beautiful, yummy smoothie. Gotta always check it. Make sure it tastes good.
You're the taste tester.
I'm a taste tester. But yeah, I love the Complete. Again, it's NSF certified. It's safe for children. Again, it's important because it's high in fiber. It's fiber filled, and has 13 grams of plant protein. So it's actually considered a glycogen replacement. And all glycogen means is what? Complex carbohydrates.
Yeah.
I encourage you all to not be nervous about complex carbohydrates. A lot of people are, if they want to trim down or lose weight, talking to my moms and my dads right now, like it's the opposite of what you should do. You should never eliminate complex carbohydrates. Complex carbohydrates are what make your brain work, and they actually aid in weight loss. It's very important, especially if you're working out. So important. So that's the smoothie, and you can be so versatile with that. We're going to make energy bites in a second, but you could use it in pancakes. You could use it in overnight oats, which is super yummy. Let's say that I'm making, this is a brand of muffins that I like, muffin mix that I really like. It's called Simple Mills. And it's awesome. It's made out of almond flour. It literally has 6 ingredients. But what I'll do is I'll add 2 scoops of the vanilla in here while I'm making the muffins. And then that way I know I'm getting even more plants, into the boils as well, which is really good. Okay. Last thing we're going to make is our energy bites. And they look like this. And they can look many different ways. There's literally thousands of recipes for them. Most people call them protein bites. I like to call them energy bites because, again, I'm not focusing on overloading my body on protein. I should call them fiber bites because literally my kids eat them. And then if your kid is, by the way, needs to use the restroom, too much information. But if you fill them with these energy bites and give them one of them, because it's got the pumpkin seeds and it's got oats in it and all this, ground flaxseed, your children will use the bathroom because that's what people should do. I know it's too much information, but I'm going to say it.
I mean, we're all about honesty on this show.
Honesty. But it is important. If you are not, colon cancer is about to surpass breast cancer and death. It's a huge deal, you guys. If you are not using the bathroom at least once a day, have the conversation with your doctor. It's probably that you're just not getting enough fiber.
Yeah.
And I don't mean fiber from cereal.
Right.
That's not the thing.
Fiber from real food that grows out of the ground. Okay.
Yes. Okay, so this recipe is going to call for 2 scoops of the vanilla, or you could do 2 scoops of the chocolate. If you don't have this at home, you can actually make this exact same recipe. They're not going to taste as good, but you totally can do that. The next thing I'm going to do is, if you see this little guy right here, it is a mini food processor. And it's not, hold on. Anyway,
And I will say the completes, you guys, the powders, the vanilla and the chocolate are both really, really tasty. I know it's really, you can't tell until you eat it, but it just adds such an amazing flavor to smoothies and even pancakes and waffles. It's really yummy.
So I'm grinding right now oats.
And I know you said that it's not a requirement to grind the oats, but it's better.
I think it's better. I mean, because I think kids have sometimes texture issues. So, if you're older, go for just using the whole rolled oat. But if you just wanted to make it more like a flour, you know, and this is a good tool to make muffins or make pancakes. So then I'm going to put about a cup of, yeah, I'll put all of it. That's about a cup of ground up oats. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add, actually, let's do our hemp hearts next. So we're going to do 1/4 a cup of hemp hearts. Hemp hearts are awesome.
Hemp hearts ever.
Okay, so hemp hearts are the hearts of a hemp seed, basically the inside, and they just 3 tablespoons is going to give you 10 grams of plant protein. They're also really wonderful in our omega 3s and omega 6s. Again, sprinkle them on salads, put them in oats. You can put them in anything. They don't taste like anything really. I mean, they have kind of a nutty taste, but you would not be turned off by them if you put them in a baking recipe.
And that giant bag you can get at Costco, right? That bag.
Yeah. Yep. So I'm going to put 1/4. Just remember 1/4. 1/4 is the key. 1/4 a cup of that. I'm going to do 1/4 a cup of my chia seeds. And then I'm going to do 1/4 a cup of ground organic flaxseed. Put that in there.
Full of fiber, these things.
I mean, this is like fiber max overload. Now I'm going to do 1/4 a cup of my favorite little chocolate chips. These are dairy-free, nut-free. This brand is called Enjoy Life, and they're so awesome. So if you have any kids that have like the, you know, known 8 allergens or anything, this is wonderful for them. And then the last 2 ingredients, so simple. We're just going to take 1/2 cup of maple syrup, or you could do 1/2 cup of honey. Okay, and then after that, I'm going to do another 1/2 cup of my sun butter, or you can use peanut butter. You can use almond butter, but I'm not gonna lie, it's not as good. It's just not. I mean, I like almond butter, but it's kind of, I don't know. Ever since I discovered sun butter, I'm like, almond butter, you are boring. So I don't really
strong taste. Almond butter does. Sun butter's a little lighter of a taste.
And if you have a kid that is allergic to peanut butter, this is the closest taste, I think, versus, you know, going with almond butter. And then all I'm going to do, so it's really pretty. Well, not if it's pretty. I think it's pretty. Oh, and then this is my secret key. Just a little splash of cinnamon. And then I'm going to roll these. I'm going to mix them really, really well. You know, if you think that you might need a little bit of more maple syrup, or, you know, just kind of eyeball it like in terms of your texture, but I'll show you in a second the texture that you want. But, you know, here's the deal. Like if you are looking to, you know, if you're a mom and you're really trying to like watch your weight, I would not eat 5 of these a day. But, you know, my treat to myself is 2 of these a day. I love them. My afternoon treat to me is 2 energy bites. But you know what my kids' breakfast was this morning? Because I woke up too late and we had to eat in the car, which I never do. They had 2 energy bites. They each had a banana, and then we had tons of just pre-cut strawberries. And then that's what they ate in the car going to school. It's a half day, so.
How long will these keep, and do you have to refrigerate them?
You don't technically have to refrigerate them. I think they're better when they are cold, personally, but you can freeze them too.
What is that? Just put in there, Caroline.
I just put a little bit more maple syrup because I think I put too many. I didn't measure my oats. See, I don't like to measure anything. So, but yeah,
have some arm strength for that, Caroline. That looks like that's how you got the guns, by making these energy bites.
But this is what they look like. So then I'll just roll them. You can make them little or small, but they're fun too for like, I mean, any age. They're just fun to make. But that's the consistency that you want to go for. It's almost like a dough, like a flour dough, if you will, and then bites. And they're magical. They're magically delicious. So those are the energy bites. And the last thing I was just going to show you real quick. I know this is not on our recipe, but I made these for tomorrow and I wanted to show them to you. So these are collard, you know, like collard greens. So I blanch collard greens, and all blanching means is steaming basically for like a minute, and they become pliable like this. I can work with them. I sauteed all my vegetables, like the vegetables I put on this sweet potato toast. And then I did some hummus right here, layered my vegetables. And then from there, what I did was I pulled it like this and rolled it really tight. And then I'm going to cut those for tomorrow for our event. into pieces. And they're so good to dip in salsa or like an Asian dipping dress or dressing. They're so good. They're like my
Like you
favorite
don't
thing.
put rice in there, right? No rice or anything like that.
You
No,
could.
you-
I've done them before with quinoa. I've done them with brown rice. Like literally just get creative. You could put eggs in here. You could think of this as like a vessel, like a wrap.
Like a wrap. Yeah.
I hate to say it, but like a tortilla wrap that has no nutritional value to it really.
Right.
Which are good, but maybe experiment, and try some of these, and you could fill it. You could make like a big burrito with this, with salsa and maybe some like chicken and brown rice and black beans, and make it into a wrap and eat it like that. So think of this as more as like the vessel to how you're going to get even more plants into your body.
Right.
But I did want to show you those because I think they're really good, and they're easy to make. Like they're so easy to make. So.
That's awesome. This is awesome. That was so easy. And you made all 4 of those things while you were sitting here talking to us. So that's incredible.
I will say, if you had to have 3 ingredients in terms of like baking, like if you like to bake, I definitely would have the chia seeds, the ground flax, and the hemp hearts. Those are going to be wonderful. Just things like staples in your kitchen that are really great. I also will grind up pumpkin seeds and put them in there. Pumpkin seeds are super high, in magnesium, zinc, and iron. So this would be a wonderful thing that you could put in there as well. I grind these up and put it into my pancake mix. Most humans are probably magnesium deficient. And when you're deficient in magnesium, you could see more anxiety. So if you have someone that's dealing with anxiety or like the nervous system, incorporating more pumpkin seeds, just more magnesium filled foods into your daily regimen could be a good thing, or just eat them, right? Just eat them.
Yeah, and you're going to give it. You gave us. We're going to post a great food ingredient list for dancers. If anybody's interested in experimenting with some of this, you guys are going to get a full ingredient list that you can go to the store and experiment with over your break. So Caroline, this is awesome. We like to give homework on Beyond the Steps to kind of get people started, something they can do now to just start their journey if they want to try plant-based eating. So what is one action that you want all of our viewers to take between now and next time to make progress in this area? I know you said kind of dairy, right? Would it be dairy or would it be something else?
I would try going dairy free for 2 weeks and just see how that is for you. But truthfully, I think I would just start to limit those foods that maybe bring us down, right? The foods that bring us down, which are processed foods, which are foods that are, dairy ridden. But I would really just think about coloring your plate, like how can you make your breakfast colorful? Okay. Like this is some oatmeal that I made earlier, right? Because for some reason I wanted hot oatmeal in the middle of the day. But I'll get a bowl and I'm going to put that oatmeal in there. I'm going to dump on there some hemp hearts. I'm going to put some flax seeds. I'm going to put some pumpkin seeds. And then I'm going to color it with I'm going to cut up an apple and some strawberries and an orange and put that on top of the oatmeal and eat that. That would be a great colorful way to have your breakfast, right? And then at lunch, okay, I'm going to have a wrap, maybe a tortilla wrap. That's great. And then I'm going to fill it with hummus and like cucumbers and tomatoes, and I have some leftover roasted vegetables. I'm going to stuff that in there too. So just coloring your plate. I mean, I think that's the key to it. Just try to get like five colors into your body every single day, and maybe to experiment with not eating the exact same things too. Maybe it's like, okay, I've never tried Brussels sprouts. I'm going to experiment with trying that this week and see, how you like them, right?
Right.
And give yourself, and then the second thing the last thing I would say is just move slow. Like, don't try and do all this at once. And I'm not being discouraging when I say that. I just truly believe that if you make small changes, then you're going to see longer lasting results and changes. Yeah. Now, if you are dealing with disease, and there is something that's very major in your life that you need to nip in the bud, then contact me. And I had a friend the other day that literally she was, plagued with liver disease, major liver disease, high blood pressure. They said you are on the verge of being type 2 diabetic, all these things.
Wow.
And I did a Zoom with her and her husband, and they were like, we're all in. And I said, well, you have to be all in. Like, you have to do this now. And all I can tell you is after 2.5 months, they've both lost 20 pounds, which
Wow.
they needed to. They lost 20 pounds. Her liver numbers, I think it's called ALT, I believe.
Yeah.
Is that right? ALT, thank you. My husband used to be a nurse. ALT numbers had dropped by like 60 points. They're no longer sending her to a rheumatologist because she was also borderline for some autoimmune illness. They're like, yeah, we canceled that appointment. And it's just amazing. And she feels good. And so the point to this is like, if you have something like that going on, and it's a major, it's got to take action, I guess is my point, but I do believe in moving for most people, moving slow and just knowing that this is not hard. If you overcomplicate it, yeah, it's going to be hard, but just start with something small like breakfast, or maybe you want to start with dinner or lunch or just snacks, and then for my parents out there that do have children, you cannot expect your children to eat healthy if you don't. It has to be all in. And I get really frustrated because you hear a lot of kids, I hear a lot of teenagers, and they're like, well, I want to eat healthy, but my parents just don't bring healthy food into the house. So I think this generation that's coming up, honestly, I think that they're wanting it. I think a lot of them are wanting it. But I think we as parents have to get into the mindset that this is a family, this is a family task that we need to do together and work on together, because one person in the house can't do it. And that's why her husband said, well, I have to do this too. I'm all in because you're all in. And they both had these remarkable changes that happened very, very quickly. And they don't want to go back now because they feel really good,
What is it that you say? I think it was Brene Brown. What is it? If you don't make time for your wellness, you'll have to make time for your illness.
For your illness. Yeah. Hold on.
No, well, that's sort of it. What is it? What is that?
If you don't make time for your wellness, how are you going to make time for your sickness? I think that's it. It's something like that. I can't remember the exact quote. I mean, that explains it though. And people tell me too, I don't have time to eat healthy, but I can tell you firsthand, like if you have disease, like A, that's very expensive, and B, that's very time consuming, so
yeah.
I think people think I live in my kitchen, and I don't. I really don't. I mean, I enjoy being in here, but I'm not slaving away, and I'm not. I just think that I've developed some healthy habits for every day. Like we brush our teeth. Why do you brush your teeth? You brush your teeth because we know that, heart disease starts in the gums. It does, so it's like, we know that we brush our teeth so we don't get cavities and we have clean breath and all those things. But what about cleaning your cells? The things that you don't see that are going on inside your body. Think of vegetables as like literally like cleaning your cells inside your body. It's like that's that sloughing off of all the nasty stuff.
And when you're a dancer and an athlete, that becomes even more important because, well, it's important, period, but it's very important because you need to sustain all of the activity that you're doing and be able to fuel yourself properly. So not only is Caroline's time and knowledge on this so valuable, and she made these incredible, easy examples for us and things we can try now. She provided so many resources for us to share with you today. So Melissa is going to pop in the chat right now the recipes that Caroline prepared today on the episode. She also is including a resource for how to build your own mason jar salads, which I know she takes these with her wherever she goes when she travels. They are really easy. You can make 5 on Sunday, and they just grab one out of the fridge, and what ingredients you can use and how to layer those. That's a great resource. And there's also guides to plant-based eating, and also a guide if you're interested in learning more about becoming a vegetarian. There's a guide for that. And then there's a food ingredient list for dancers, things that you want to have on hand to get yourself through as we head into convention and competition season, whatever that looks like. These are ingredients that you can have on hand in your house now, and it'll make things a lot easier for you. So there's a link to a Google Drive folder right here in the chat, and she's going to post that on Facebook too. We'll also email this to anyone receiving the episode, but all of those resources are in this Google Drive link, so you can peruse those at your leisure. In addition, we talked about several resources with Caroline today. The Facebook group, Health Made Simple for Dancers, is an incredible online community that is just there really for support, recipes, tips, it's just a never ending supply of support in regards to plant-based eating. So check that out. I know when Kristen Koskinen was on here with us, who's a registered dietitian, she had talked about bento boxes. Caroline, I know you do that for your kids as well. That's something really easy to get those bento boxes and fill it up with color. And then Juice Plus, that's another thing we talked about a lot on this episode. If you're interested in more, Caroline is going to tell us right now how you can consult with her, reach her, follow her, tell us all the things, Caroline, for how people can get in touch with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you can email me. My email is in the chat box, ClineLewisJones@gmail.com. My Juice Plus website is actually the exact same thing, KlineLewisJones.juiceplus.com. If you are interested in Juice Plus, definitely reach out to me first, because kids eat Juice Plus for free for any adult that takes Juice Plus. And then right now, till the end of the month, they're adding in a free bag of the complete, just free to try for you and your kids. So message me first before you do that, because there's a very specific way. If you on Instagram, I'm at Kline Lewis Jones also, and then Facebook, Caroline Lewis -Jones. But happy to support you. We have a really amazing, I actually hate the month of January. I don't hate it, but usually it's like January is the month, the day of like January 1st. Okay, what am I going to do? My New Year's resolutions with my health. And I encourage you guys to make that every day of your life. But we do have a really fun community like campaign that we're doing, and it's called Just More Plants. And it's the whole month of January. Every single week, you're going to get a virtual cooking class. I'm leading one of the weeks, and 3 of our other Health Made Simple pros are. You're getting a whole grocery list, 5 different meals. That's going to be awesome. And then they're also going to be put into a small group, Facebook group with me, just to I'll be your health coach for the month. Juice Plus is incorporated into that as well, if that's something that you're interested in. But it's just accountability, it's support, and giving you guys actual tactile tools and resources to help you with it.
And that's in the Health Made Simple group, Caroline?
Yes, Health Made Simple. And what I'm going to do too, if you are okay with it, I actually have, I'm going to send you guys the flyer that has like the hyperlinks to join. And then that way it connects you with our Health Made Simple community, and then they'll contact me as well. But if you're like, what is this? I'm not quite sure. Just email me or Facebook message me, and I'll get you plugged in. But we're really excited about it. And we've spent a lot of time creating the content, and it's not a weight loss program. If that's what you want, then if you want it naturally, then yes, great, join us. But that's not what it is. It's all about just really learning and, and guiding you with these tools. So,
Right.
So if you're on our mailing list, if you've joined us on Zoom before, or if you want to get the episodes emailed to you, if you do use the link to join us on Zoom, you will automatically get those episodes emailed to you. And then we will also email that flyer that Caroline's talking about for Just More Plants. So sign up with that. Thank you so much, Caroline. This was awesome.
Yeah.
I'm definitely committing to those energy bites.
Oh, they're so good. You're gonna love them. Another good base for an energy bite is in your food processor doing dates. Dates, and they are so good as well. There's so many recipes. Oh, that's another thing with the Juice Plus Complete. We have a cookbook literally with like fun treats, and it's like over 120 recipes. So I can send you that to you guys as well, which is really
Absolutely.
nice.
That would be awesome. So we just want to thank you for being here for our last show of 2020. We'll be back in 2021. So don't think this is the end of Beyond the Steps. We are going to be back in 2021. Like I said, recordings of all the episodes are available on Facebook at Apollo Performance in their video section. On Instagram, you can check them out in my bio at TPDC_on_IG. There's a YouTube playlist there with all of the episodes you can see from the past. And if you sign up to join us by Zoom, you will get those episodes after they're finished. So like I said, Bree and I are on hiatus for the new year. We're actually going to try to take some time off. We'll see about that. But
I want to thank you guys. I want to thank you ladies for all the work that you guys do, because there's not many people that lead with education and that want, people to have these resources. So thank you all for taking the time to lead this movement. It's so important. It's not just dance. It's like the whole healthy, happy dancer. It's everything.
Yeah.
Thank you.
so much.
That's a great, thank you so much, Caroline. That means a lot to us, because that was the purpose of even starting this. And we are lining up guests for winter and spring 2021. So if you are an expert on a topic that is science-based, is health-based, and that's mental, physical, and emotional health of dancers, reach out to us. Let us know, and we would love to talk to you about possibly being a guest and developing a topic, or even if you're not an expert, but you have a topic that you want to hear about, please reach out to us. We will be back on January 8th with Erin Pride to answer the question, what do you do when students bring up topics of race in the classroom? So we are going to tackle that big issue there and figure out how we handle those situations in a way that is sensitive and culturally responsive when students bring up issues of race in the classroom. So please join us in 2021. Thank you, Bree, for joining me the 2020. We are so excited about 2021. And until then, we hope you continue your journey beyond the steps. Have a great holiday.
Bye, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Happy holidays.
Happy
Caroline,
holidays.
thank you. Love you.
Love you guys. Thank you all so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.